Okay, we've marked the front of our broom and drilled the hole through our 42-inch handle, and we're going to take a wire and run it through that hole. And we're going to leave about a 9 or 10-inch tail laid up along the back of the broom. We're leaving that there because we're going to finish the broom with that tail. We're leaving that there because we want to mark where the back of the broom is at all at a given time. We can also just kind of make a mental mark here, got a little knot there, a little hole there, because we want to keep the back and the front straight so the broom handle stays balanced. Some broom makers will go so far as to drill a hole in the top, and they'll put a piece of dowel through the top so they always know which is the side. So they, instead of drilling front to back up here, they'll drill side to side up here, and they'll use that like a weather vane to know the size of the broom. I'm going to go 3 turns directly around the handle, and that's going to come up and cover the tail of that wire, so there's no chance of that wire slipping out of there. And then we're going to start with our 5 ounces of broom corn. I say 5 ounces, it's 4 quarters, 4 little 1 1/4 ounce bundles. And the reason we've made them into quarters instead of just 1 5 ounce bundle to jam on there is we're going to do our best to make this broom as round as broom corn can be made by tucking that in there with about 1.5 inches, 2 fingers width above the wire. What you'll note at this point, if you've seen another broom being made, is that I'm using dry broom corn, and people typically use at this point, they use wet broom corn. But I found that wet broom corn at this stage makes the broom take longer to dry, and increases the possibility that you're going to have some mildew show up inside the broom. And it's just not real and truly necessary. Having put that in quarters, I'm fairly close to having just a nice round broom at this point. So we are going to go 3 turns under extraordinary amount of tension directly around that first bundle of broom corn, and my wire is still laid directly up the back where I wanted it. Having put in the 3 turns, we're going to take our next 2 bundles, which are coincidentally about 1 1/4 each also, and we're going to tuck them in on either side. So there's my center, there's the back, so I'm going to go to one side, then to the other, trying to keep the tops even, trying to make sure these show up on the sides. So my little nigh on to perfectly round broom is just turned into an oval. That's the first set of shoulders, the inside shoulders. And for those of you taking notes and keeping track, this has been trimmed down to about 17 inches. Here I am at the back of the broom, make a V across the front, straighten that out, make sure I'm all parallel and lined up, at which point I stop, maintain a fair degree of tension on that while I reach out here and take up a 1 ounce bundle of pre-soaked 18-inch broom corn, which I'm going to lay on the side, upside down. Make sure no pieces are going to fall out. If they are, tuck them back in or toss them on the floor, get rid of them. You don't want pieces to fall out after the fact. This is 17 gauge galvanized wire I'm using. I oftentimes pull until I feel it stretch and then I stop. So I've got 3 turns of wire over the first layer. 3 turns of wire being the four bundles. 3 turns of wire over the second layer being the 2 1/4 ounce bundles. 3 turns of wire over the third layer being the 2 1 ounce bundles upside down. Pause, turn those bundles under. I use a twine loop to hold those rollovers or roundovers down. Some folks use a leather loop, some folks use a Velcro strap. I don't know anybody that leaves them just flopping about. Angle that, come up to the handle, and back around the handle 3 more times. If you're doing this in a kick winder, you have an opportunity to stop and maybe trim a little bit up here. Since I'm doing this on a tying table, I did not choose to trim. Instead, I've just tried to keep things as even as possible. We'll just smooth things out as we go along. Got the first 3 layers on there. That first 3 layers amounts to 9.5 ounces. I like my broom to be 1 pound of broom corn finished weight. So I'm going to add another 7 ounces to the outside of that, giving us a total of 16.5 ounces, which allows for me to do a little trimming at the top and bottom. Wouldn't be too much trimming though. I take 5 ounces out of my bucket and I'm just going to kind of sort that out into little bundles here so as to keep things easy to handle. Busted pieces throw aside. Take your little bundle, tuck it under the wire so that we're fairly even at the tip. Kind of fan that down the wire a little bit and bring it into place. And just keep on adding bundles all the way around using that method. Tuck it under, fan it out a little bit, kind of crimp it into place. That 5 ounces will typically go around your broom 2 times. If you do it in little teeny tiny bundles with a little bit of fanning out like this. Now I know some broom makers that'll take and wrap a bundle around there. They've got it down pat and they'll wrap a bundle around there so they can go one little handful and fan it all the way around the broom in one pass. That's quite difficult to do on the tying table. And I'm always afraid that when I get that tied in there, what I'm going to find is I've left a gap and you can see some wire or some shoulders sticking out there. So I'd rather come around there twice anyways and make sure that everything gets where it's supposed to be and nice and even and uniform. Now, if I were gonna make this an all-natural colored broom, I would add another 2 ounces of natural broom corn to the surface of that, which would give me my total of 16.5 ounces. If I was to put some color in there, at this point, I'm going to take another 2 ounces of broom corn that's been pre-weighed, measured out, it's all color. This one's gonna be just kind of variegated, so I'm gonna take little bitty bundles with a couple different colors per little bitty bundle. Looks like I'm kind of predominantly red with this bundle, but that's okay. Every broom's unique. And we're just going to continue on doing the same thing, but now with the colored broom corn. And this batch of colored broom corn should go around your broom about once. For those of you who've been counting, it's a total of 6 layers of broom corn that have gone around this broom. And if we averaged 3 turns of wire per layer, we're looking at about 18 turns of wire on this broom. Alternately, I could have measured these out and laid these out in such a fashion that I could leave a stripe of a single color down the front of the broom, or I could have laid it out to where the shoulders would just show up color over the natural, the remainder of the broom. You can also alternate the colors and put the underskirts at 5 ounces in color, and put the outer skirts in all natural, and you'll have just that color to keep from the outside. Hello!
Hello, I was looking, I heard you had a class and I was looking for the chairs.
I've got one chair in here, but I've been using it with I had no other chairs beyond that.
Didn't you have a class though?
I did have a class, but there was just one student.
Oh.
And I've also been having my apprentices come through, so I've been using 2 chairs or 3 chairs at a time.
Oh.
So I'm in good shape.
Okay.
Come around there a couple, 3 times with the wire over that last layer. V up. Another couple, 2 or 3 turns, bringing us to about a total of 24 turns of wire around this broom. Take our tail, remember that tail from the very beginning, what we took through the broom handle? Pull your tail over, cock the wire out to lock it in place, and twist those 2 ends together tightly. About 12 or 13 turns is what you want on there. Again with the length of twine as a loop. Begins to almost look like the broom. plait, tied onto that nail, and we're ready to put it in the broom and stitch. A lot of broom makers wouldn't bother to plait, they just leave that wrap right there, or maybe they'd go ahead and have the broom corn a little trimmed and do a wind down with their wire, but we're gonna plait it, it's ready to go.